I'm Ashley Farrell, and I do the monthly yoga spot here with Flirt. And today we're going to talk about Chaturanga dandasana, or four-limb staff pose, or plank pose, as some people refer to it as. But before we get started, I just wanted to quickly mention two things. We don't have a whole ton of time here. But the first one, acknowledging that this is being filmed and I'm practicing here on Treaty 6 territory. So, just the importance, especially as it comes to like yoga and the essence of it being union and honoring the indigenous folks who really are the true stewards of this land, past, present, and future. And also acknowledging that, I come to you today in a fairly privileged body. I'm white, I'm red as cisgender, able-bodied, fairly flexible, and I really invite you to, check in, take a moment to check in with your own self, just to kind of find out where, you're sitting mentally, emotionally, physically, maybe even spiritually, before you begin your practice, and really just take it at your own pace. So anything that I'm doing here is merely a suggestion. If you find that any of the variations that I'm offering aren't working for you, please feel free to send me a quick email, and I'd be more than happy to chat with you about how we can make this work. Alright, so getting started with Chaturanga dandasana, or plank pose. There are a couple ways you can go about it. First one, we can start on all fours. Knees are going to be slightly farther back than the hips, so almost like you're preparing for a push-up from the knees. You're going to have fingers spread nice and wide, and I know you might not be able to see from there, but my fingers are spread maybe even a little bit farther than I think I might need them to be. I'm rooting down through my index finger mound, so if you're looking at the palm of your hand, it's just this spot right here underneath your index finger. Rooting down. And I'm going to take my shoulders and I'm going to move them away from my ears. And then I'm going to let my heart melt just a little bit. Now from here, I'm going to engage the core. So I'm drawing my belly button right up into my spine. All right? So core is engaged, rooting down through the palms. I'm going to take my biceps, say hello to my cat moonwort, and rotate them outward so that the eyes of my elbow, that's this little elbow crease here, are pointing forward. Okay, so this is all before we lower down. So core engaged, heart soft, shoulders away from ears, eyes of the elbow pointing forward. I'm going to take a nice deep inhale and get long through the spine. So the crown of my head is extending towards the front of the mat. And then as I exhale, I'm going to lower down, but I'm going to keep my elbows tucked in nice and tight to my body. And as I lower down, I'm keeping my butt up here. Lowering down, chest first, then chin, then lower the rest of my body to the mat. All the while keeping those elbows tucked nice and tight to my body. All right, so that's one variation of this posture. Another variation of the pose, same thing with the hands and the arms. So fingers spread wide, rooting down through that index finger mound. You've got shoulders stacked over elbows, stacked over wrists, heart soft, neck nice and long. I'm going to pick my knees up from the mat. I'm going to come into a plank. So this is the plank pose part of it. Now as I lower down here, again softening the heart, inhale, getting nice and long through the crown of the head, I'm still going to be tucking those elbows or pulling those elbows into the side of my body, nice and tight, and lowering all the way down. And so if you've noticed, or if you noticed from when I did the expression of the pose where I came down in plank, my back, everything was nice, long, in a line. There are two kind of common mistakes, or mistakes that folks will make with this posture. And I mean, they don't pose any terrible risks, but it compromises the integrity of the pose. And then, unfortunately, you don't end up getting the full benefits of this posture, which, you know, are a stronger core, stronger wrists, stronger arms, more centered mind, and a softer heart. And so those two things are, and they usually happen when folks come down from the from this plank pose, is that they'll lower the lower body first and just kind of snake down to the ground. So that's one kind of common mistake. The second one from plank pose is that folks will be trying to engage their core so much to take the weight off of the arms that they'll stick that butt up really high in the air and then lower down like this, okay? So if you're lowering down through full plank pose, we want to have that nice long straight line from crown of the head all the way out the heels, okay? So if you find that you're swaying in the back or that the butt's sticking up nice and high in the sky, see if you can come down to the knees and try that first variation of the pose. And then once you're down on the ground, you can really go anywhere from here. You can either on an inhale move up into a little baby cobra. If you'd like, you can press through the palms if the spine's nice and warm, and come into an upward facing dog, melting those shoulders back. You can do a little bit of floor work, you know, bringing the hands behind the back, a little back bend. Really anything that seems to kind of flow or that fits right from your body, or for your body from there. Yeah, so Chaturanga Dandasana, a couple different versions. Again, if you have any questions, concerns, comments, yeah, feel free to send me an email at fairyogi@gmail.com. And I look forward to seeing you next week or next month. Thanks. Bye.